Okay, so this is going to be another explanation on the nature of thinking, of the nature of thought itself. I've already made a couple of videos explaining this with a lot of words, but now I've made some drawings to make it hopefully more clearer, more obvious. So there is a big difference between what a thought itself literally is and what it refers to. So here I've been drawing a neuron. So if we observe, let's see, if we observe, nope, if we observe someone else's brain activity and we perform anatomy on a brain, we can see that it is made out of billions of these nerve cells, a neuron. Okay, and when that person's brain is really active, so when he is, thinking about something, or she is dreaming, what we see is electrical impulses which are propagated over this neuron. And so this is what a thought looks like on the outside perspective. So when we look at someone else's brain, okay? So this is what it looks like from the outside. But now when you think, let's say you have a thought about a tree. You have been observing a tree and now you have created a memory of the tree. So now you close your eyes and you try to visualize that tree inside of your mind. So if you do that, then you will see something that looks like a tree. You will have some picture in your mind that refers to this. So you gotta understand that this is the inside of your thought. Okay? If you close your eyes and you picture it, that's the inside of it. But when someone is observing your brain, so from the outside, this is what it looks like, just an electrical impulse. Okay, so this is what it looks like from the outside of the thought, just a physical neuron which literally exists in the universe. Okay, it's literally a neuron, a physical thing, and on the inside of that physical thing, so in your mind it looks like this. It represents a tree. Now, of course, what we know for a fact that this is not literally this. Of course, it's not literally a tree that is inside your mind. This is what is literally inside your mind. Just a neuron, an electrical impulse that is being propagated over this neuron. Okay? So these and these are different, but actually the same simultaneously. A thought is literal, it's literally a thing on the outside, but on the inside, it's not literally what it refers to. Okay? This is not literally this. So this is interesting. A thought is at the same time literal and not literal. Okay? So that's what I have been saying in my other videos about referential and self-referential. This is what it is itself, it's self-referential. Okay? And this is referring to something other than itself. Because it refers to the tree from the inside, and on the outside it refers to itself. This is just what it is. But in order, so now comes the next part. Let's see, the paradox part. So when we observe someone else's brain activity and we see this, we observe this. So now we can create a memory of this. Wait, it's this one. It's the same. So now we can try to visualize this inside of our mind, on the inside of the thought. So now you close your eyes, so you have been observing the outside of someone else's brain activity, and you see this. So now you close your eyes and you visualize this. So now you're thinking about, you're visualizing this. So now the question is this literally this? Is this literally this? Nope, of course not. Because the inside of a thought never literally represents what lies outside of itself. They're not the same. Now, the paradox is that we make this statement. This is what a thought literally is on the outside perspective. So, outside of thought, the external world. This is what we claim. This is what a thought literally is, and it's referring to the outside. Okay? Now the problem is that we can only, when we think, if you think for yourself and you picture this statement inside of your thought, okay, that's the problem. You're picturing it inside of your thought. But it's referring to the outside of the thought. Okay, and we know for a fact that the inside of a thought never literally represents the outside. Just like you have a thought and you visualize this, you picture this inside of your mind, and you know for a fact that this is not literally a tree. Okay, so in the same way, when you have the statement, this is what a thought literally is on the outside of thought, okay, that statement is being visualized, is being pictured inside of that thought. Okay, and you know that that does still not literally represent what is outside of itself. And that's the paradox. This is a thing that not literally represents what lies outside of itself, even though it's referring to it. Okay, but at the same time, it's inside. So, I mean, at the same time, it's claiming that what lies out of itself is literal. So, this might be confusing, but it makes sense. The inside of a thought never literally represents what it is referring to outside of itself, even though it's claiming that it is literal. Okay? That is kind of tricky, and I don't know if this paradox can be broken, can be explained logically. It just doesn't make sense to me. It seems impossible to break through it. So yeah, now the next thing that I was thinking about is what is the substance of the inside of a thought? We can perform anatomy on the outside of it. We can dissect it and we can see, oh, it's made out of electrical impulses. And what are electrical impulses? Well, apparently they are ionized particles, just flowing ionized particles. I believe it was potassium and something else. So again, it's going to be subatomic particles flowing along this neuron. So we can, go on and kind of explain what it is made out of, but then when we perceive it inside of your mind, when you see the tree in your mind, what is that made out of? Like, are you able to dissect or perform anatomy on the inside of your thought, like inside of your awareness? Can you, as you close your eyes and you picture whatever, can you zoom in and see what it's made out of? Like in the same way that we can observe a real tree and just use microscopes and whatever tools to observe it, can we do it in the same way inside of our awareness? No. Inside of our awareness we don't have any tools. you know, you can only use tools to perform it, to use it on the outside, but not on the inside. So my point is, this is what I believe, is that the inside of the thought has no substance to it. This is the real thing that's going on. This is the real thing, the outside part. The inside part is probably a hallucination, you know, because it has no substance. It's not really there. It's interesting that these and these are actually the same. It's just outside and inside. But we can only, if we study reality, we only study the outside part. We can only study the outside part. And the inside part is, we can't touch that, you know, with any tools. It's just in our awareness. You know what I mean? You can only go deeper with awareness. You can only use awareness or your creativity, just your mind. You can only use your mind to go deeper into this. You can use tools. You see, you can use tools on the literal physical reality, but you can't use tools in the mental world. You know, you would have to picture a microscope in your mind and then try to do anatomy inside of your mind. But you know, so yeah, seems to be that the inside of the thought doesn't have any substance to it. So it's not material, it's not real in a sense. This is real. And this, yeah, so what is this? It doesn't have substance. It's not made out of anything. So it's not even there. It's not even present. It's not literal. It doesn't exist actually. So it's a hallucination. Okay? It's probably what it is. It's a hallucination. So my conclusion is that a thought is literal and not literal at the same time. So it's outside and it's inside. It's self-referential. This is what it is itself. It's self-referential, and this is what it refers to. You know, this is not itself. It refers to what lies outside of itself. So it's referential. But this is what it literally is itself, and so it's self-referential. So it's self-referential and referential at the same time. And I would also say that it's real. This is what it's really is. So it's real like this, and it's unreal like this. It exists like this, and it doesn't exist like this at the same time. So, yeah, real, hallucination. Real, reality, hallucination. It's both. It's a reality and it's a hallucination at the same time. That's my conclusion of what a thought is. And it's this duality that makes reality possible. You know? Even though everything is just like this, we need this to yeah, to have knowledge about this. Yeah, you need duality. To have knowledge about reality, you need duality. You need to make a distinction between the real world and the real world as itself, and the thinking world that refers to the things itself. You know, which is and the thinking world is never itself. Never. It's never literal. This is unreal. Even though and they are actually the same. You know, it's fun. It's fun to think about this. But yeah, that's what I came up with. Yeah, so one last word on the difference between referential and self-referential. So when you're having an experience, what you also got to know is that there's a slight delay between an experience and the thoughts about that experience. So when you're having an experience, it takes like, I don't know, something lesser than a nanosecond to produce a thought or memory about that experience. Okay? So there's a slight delay between experience and thought about experience. And this experience is the real world outside of thinking. And then so you're in the real world and then you have a thought about it. A thought which is not literal. and the thought refers to the experience. Okay, so, but you know, at the same time, as you're having this thought about the previous experience, this thought is already a new experience, so it is submerged in experience again. Okay, now in order to have knowledge about this new experience, you would need another thought which can refer to this experience, to the experience of the thought of the previous experience. Okay, so every experience is self-referential. It is just itself, and then a thought is required to refer to the experience, and the thought, as I have explained, is itself and not itself, because it refers to something else. Make sense? I hope so. This is really confusing. And so, of course, the thought itself, when it refers to something else, it is not literally this thing. This is what it literally is, and also the thought itself is literal on the outside, and on the inside it's not literal because it refers to the experience. But anyway, I've explained this already, so I'm just repeating myself now. It was more understandable with 3, I think. So anyway, I hope you are able to make something out of this, and I'm looking forward, yes, to what you have to say about this, what your thoughts are about thoughts. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna end this video. Bye. Thank you for listening and watching.